Hi all, my name is Nadia de Nardi, and today I will give you an introduction to Jira tool. Here a list of topics that we will touch today. Mainly, we will start with Jira ticket management overview. As you know, Jira tool is a software in order to manage the activities under tickets. So we will start with an explanation of the ticket types. Then we will progress with the ticket anatomy, ticket attribute, how to fill the tickets, how to describe the tickets, and add tags and so on. And then we will proceed with the ticket planning explanation, specifically with the Agile methodology. Then we will have a slot for questions, but you can, of course, interrupt whenever you want during the presentation. And then later we will have this live demo where I will show you the creation of a ticket, how to fill it. Then I will show you the definition of the backlog and the sprint, and then a report creation, filter out tickets, and so on. What is Jira? So Jira, as said, is a software tool used for project management where we can track and manage our activities under tickets, track bugs, and plan Agile project using frameworks like SCRUM. What does it mean, this sentence? So it means that once we have all our tickets, we can plan them in time-boxed periods called sprint that usually last between 1 week till 4 weeks. In our case, it will last 4 weeks. And when we need to complete our activities, and at the end of the sprint, we need to start again another cycle. Here a fun fact, the name Jira comes from the Japanese word Gojira, that is Godzilla. In fact, this tool was developed to compete with the Bugzilla, another tool for bug management. And at the end is a play on words, Gojira becomes Jira to compete with Bugzilla, that is similar to Godzilla. So why we are using Jira? We have many benefits using Jira. First of all, the visibility. In fact, every team member can see the progress of each ticket through boards and reports, and see the progress of the project. Then we have another benefit, prioritization. In fact, we can give flags the priority itself to the ticket. So if it is a blocker, high, medium, low priority, and also we can link tickets like this is blocked by another ticket. So we know which ticket must be done before, okay? Then we will have for sure less downtime as we work using these sprints. Collaboration, of course, for example, in order to reach a requirement and finalize a functionality, we have many tasks, many activities in charge of different team members, okay? So we must collaborate between each other. And then, of course, predictability as planning tickets in sprints and having the release. We know when a feature can be deleted. Okay, here we step to the ticket types. Mainly we have these 5 ticket types. We can have also others. For example, I can report the incident that is a bug but in production. But for now we have these 5, okay? We start with the epic. The epic is like a box that can contain all the other tickets. So we can link all the other tickets to the epic, and the epic represents or a heavy requirement, okay, or more than one requirement that is linked together under the same functionality. Or otherwise, we can, it's representing also a collection of multiple activities linked together. For example, release management activities, or I can give you also an example that we have at the moment in our project. So at the beginning, we had to configure many features of the project, as Jira was like an empty box where we had to configure, for example, the list of the status of the tickets and other things. So we collect every activity that were needed in order to configure the project under one epic that was called the configuration of the project. Okay. Then we have the user story. The user story contains, let me say, a use case expressed from the user point of view, so high level use case, or also a technical requirement expressed from the developer point of view. So it's more technical description, okay? Then we have the task. The task is something that is more straightforward activity. For example, I need to configure something. I already know what needs to be done. I open a task. I need to, also in this case, we had to configure something in the project. We create a task. We have also another task for example, the creation of the task force for ACV and something like that. Okay, small activities that can be delivered fast. Then we have bugs to track the issues that can be raised after the deployment, and then subtasks. Subtasks are similar to tasks, but can be opened below every type of ticket that we mentioned here. Okay. Yeah, this is the hierarchy, a simple hierarchy. But here I want to give you some example. Okay. This is a use case that I share with you. It's only an example, okay? For example, I need to add a payment method to my software, okay? This is, of course, an heavy requirement. And I track it in an epic. Then below, I know that in order to add a payment method, I need to perform some user interface changes, for sure. And then I need to implement the business logic below. And then I open also a task in order to retrieve the external API that I need to integrate with my backend in order to perform the payment with the external provider. Okay, so I open two user stories, one for the two main topics, and then one task that is straightforward. Okay. Then below, I know that I have two small activities under these user interface changes. One is the data list for the payment method configuration, and then the change of the drop-down. Okay. Below this one, we have store and display payment info, the business logic, and then the integration of the external API. And of course, later, once I've deployed everything, also a bug can be opened. For example, dropdown is not showing the new payment method, and I link it to the parent, let me say, epic. Okay. This structure is fine in case all subtasks are in charge of the same team. Because, for example, if this task is in charge of my team and this task instead is in charge of another team, and the member of the other team is not completing his task, I will not be able to close my user story, okay, and fulfill my target. In this case, when the smaller activities are in charge of different teams, we can proceed like this. So we can open as many user stories as the activity that we have, okay? So we transform like the subtask in specific user stories. But as you can see here, we lost a little bit the hierarchy of the user stories, so the grouping of these two and these two. Okay, here we don't know that these two are related to the user interface and these two are more related to the backend. So last example, but at the end, all three are fine, okay? But this is another way to split the activity. We can create two user stories as before, the first example, user interface changes and then business logic implementation, but these are parent user story. They are not different, they are not different tickets, they are always user stories. But then I link this user story, I create another user story instead of the subtask, and I put a relation, this is parent of this, and this is child of this. Then later I will show you how to create relations, okay? So in this way, I'm able to, both in case the tasks are in charge of different team, I will divide in user stories, and I know that my user story is done, and then the other user story, for example, is blocked. And also, yeah, I maintain this grouping in terms of topic. Then in case, for example, one user story is really heavy, for example, the implementation of the business logic related to the storage of the payment info in this case, we can split again child user story analysis. So in order to analyze and define better with the user the requirement, and then the development, okay? So I know that yeah, I will spend much time on this user story, and then once it's closed, I can complete the other. Okay. Then we can step to the ticket anatomy. So this is how the ticket, you will find a ticket on Jira. Here you have the project. Here, this is the ticket number. Here you have the title of the ticket. Here in details, you have many labels, many attributes. For example, the type of the ticket, this is a story. The priority of the ticket, the link to the epic, then the work package, that is really important to also later to filter out by team, okay? Then we have the fixed version, so we will apply here the number of the version that when this functionality will be released. Then here we have the description of the ticket, attachment, we can attach files, and then here the link, okay? As I mentioned before, for example, the relation between parent and child user story, here we have a relation type relates to, okay? If other relation can be, yeah, is blocked by parent of, and so on. We have many, and then later we will see everything. Here we have the assignee, then the reporter, then the watchers. So the watchers here, this field is important because if you are a watcher of the ticket, you will receive a notification in Jira, in your emails, okay? The email link to your Jira account. And then also another thing is that if you are mentioned in the ticket, if someone tags you, you will be automatically a watcher of the ticket. And if you don't want to watch it anymore, you need to stop watching, okay? Then we have a list of dates. For example, when you start working on the date here, we will add also the start date, then the due date, that is really important, for example, for blocker tickets. And yeah, here we start with the ticket priority explanation. So we have these 5 priorities, but at the end I will put together blocker and critical level. It represents functionality that blocks the development of other requirements. So for sure, if you have a user story that is blocker, I need to do it before another, okay? High, important functionality to be planned right after the blocker ones, of course. Then medium, and then low. It's a functionality that is good to have, but can wait. So if another requirement comes up by the user and has high priority, and I have a low ticket that is there since a month, okay, it will wait again for the higher to be solved, okay. Then we have the bugs priority. The list of priority types the same, but the meaning is a little bit different. We have blocker and critical when the system is down, the functionality is down. Then high, when I can access to the system, but the functionality is not working as per requirement, okay. Medium, a minor functionality is not working. So high is where major functionality is not working, then minor functionality is not working. Low when there is something that disturbs the user experience, okay? So like translations, icons, layout, something like that. Then, yeah, we go to story points estimation is another attribute of the ticket. So how can we evaluate the weight of our activity? We will evaluate through estimating it via person days, okay? So how many days it will take to be completed. A day, like 8 hours per day, 7 hours per day, depends. So, for example, it will take 1 or 2 days. I will give 1 story point. It will take 3-5 days, 5, 7, 10 days, 13. I won't go further. Here in this table, you won't see other story points. Here, the one after is 20, 21, and so on. Because if you know that I have a user story, I will put it in my sprint in this time box where I need to complete my ticket, my activity. If it's longer than 13 story points, probably I won't be able to close it. So it's better to finish here, split the user story, and in case open another user story. During the estimation, you must consider the functional analysis. So if you need to have meetings with the user or whatever to define better the use case or the acceptance criteria, you need to consider then here the hours that you will spend doing this, okay? And this point you will consider it only in case an ad hoc user story is not created. So if you I don't know if you remember before I showed you the analysis user story and the development user story. If you have already split these two, for the analysis you will consider the functional analysis, and then for the development you will consider only the development. Okay, so in this case, all these things you will consider only if you create only one user stories for one requirement. Functional analysis, technical analysis or design, development, and unit testing. And then you will give the story points value to the ticket. It's another label in the details, and we will see it later. Then we have the status of the ticket, really important to monitor the progress of the activity. And we have defined, configured a list of status, a possible status that all the tickets can have, and also the workflows. What does it mean, the workflows? It means like, for example, I have a ticket that is in progress. I can put it in done only. I should not put it in cancelled, the ticket, because if it's in progress, it should not go ahead to cancel. Yeah, now I show you. This is the link where you will find some more documentation, or the status description, and also the workflows description. Here, okay, this is the epic, and here you see we start from to do when we created the ticket, and then from to do we can move the ticket to cancel if, for example, I open the ticket by mistake, or to the scope if the requirement is no more valid, or in definition, if the requirement is valid, then I need to fill the ticket and write a description. I cannot move the ticket from to do to in progress, okay? Because the ticket must be defined and then must be set in queue. In queue means ready to be developed, so ready to be put in the sprint, okay? Then from in queue, it can be set in blocked status if I'm blocked by another epic, or in progress can be set in blocked, okay? If comes out that I'm blocked later, when I started already the activity, it comes out that I'm blocked by another activity. And then it's an acceptance and done. The user story is similar. We have some more status, nothing particular, so we have the status in analysis, and then these two status from in progress, in testing, and then in acceptance and done. Okay, these three more. Task, subtask is simpler. We have less status, similar to the epic. And then the bugs, still similar. The only status that we have more is rejected. For example, if I have a bug is assigned to me, I need to replicate the problem and I cannot replicate it. I put the ticket in rejected. In another case, I analyze it, I found the issue, I work on it, I solve the problem, I deploy, and then once I've deployed the fix, the ticket goes in acceptance and I assign it back to the person that has raised the bug to test it, and then he puts it in done if it's solved. Then we have also other labels tracking the timing. So the assignee, when start his activity, set the start date. So for example, here was 17th of September, and sets also the due date. So when I think the ticket will be done, so after 3 days. Usually the due date will be like equal to start date plus story points days, of course. But yeah, it's not something that is strict. You can modify it during your work. But it's mandatory to give a due date for the blocker ticket bugs, okay? So if a ticket is blocking another functionality, of course, the person that has in charge the other ticket wants to know when you will finish your activity, okay? So the due date for the blocker tickets is really, really important. Okay, so let's step to the ticket description. So this is a little bit formal, okay, because the Agile methodology wants these kind of descriptions, but yeah, for sure you can insert a more technical description. Now I will show you what is expected by theory. So the epic, we said that is represent a heavy requirement, and then the user story is a little, it's refined and more technical, okay, lower level. So in the epic, the user or whoever opened the ticket wrote the requirement. The requirement is like this. This is the template of the requirement. So for example, as a customer, I want to be able to reset my password so that I can regain access to my account. And this is really high level requirement, okay? In the user story, instead, we wrote the acceptance criteria. This is the template, and the example is, given that the user is on the login page, when the user clicks on forgot password and enters their email, then a password reset email is sent to their inbox. So you see that it's more deep this analysis, okay? And then you can also split it in other user stories, this requirement, of course. But yeah, as said, you can add a free text where you can insert a more technical description. Also for technical user story, development user story, those won't have a requirement wrote like this, but only a technical description or whatever you need to implement in order to reach the requirement. For the bugs, another slide, because yeah, here it's a little bit different and really important. So we need to insert the summary of the issue, the test steps in order to reproduce it, of course, then the expected outcome. For example, you can link the epic or the user story, okay? Or for example, if the app was not analyzed properly and we didn't open a user story for that, yeah, the bug, however, is related to a parent functionality, can be related somehow. Then we have yeah, an explanation for the actual result that we face. You can add a screenshot happening time in order to see the logs in case, okay? So this is a quick example. For example, session expired in 5 minutes, not able to submit the form. So I'm inserting data in a form, and when I click on submit, the section is expired, so I lost everything, okay? So I have the summary, steps to reproduce this problem, expect the result, the session should be longer, for example, 10 minutes, as per user story, whatever. And the actual result is session expired, and when I submit the form, I lose every data, okay? This is only an example. For the task and subtask, instead you can put a technical description only or a quick reference to the parent requirement, okay? This is really simple. Then, as said, you can attach files, for example, images, Excel files, Word files. If you had to do a deep technical analysis, you can attach Word files, then logs, emails also. If you had some communication offline with another member of the team, you can attach also emails to refer to that. And then, of course, they can be linked in the comments of the ticket or in the description. Okay, this is also really important. So the relation between the tickets. These really help to prioritize and order ticket resolution. So based on the relations, I know which activity must be done before another. Here we have the 4 examples that we have configured in Jira at the moment. So, for example, to be done before, after. When we set the link on a ticket to be done before, automatically on the other will appear to be done after. So, for example, a user story must be done after. Can be done after the task is completed. The example, for example, that I bring to you was like I needed to find to retrieve the external API. If I don't retrieve it, I won't be able to integrate it with backend. So that one must be done before the backend integration. Blocks is blocked by, so we have both the status is blocked, and then we can put also the relation with the ticket, okay? So usually is a relation between user story and bugs, but can be also a relation between user stories. So, for example, before you put this, and then if you see that your colleague after 1 month doesn't complete his task, you put this is blocked by, okay, is the next level. Then is parent to is child of, and one thing we were not able to reconfigure this is child of label because the project AG Jira is used by many projects, and in the other project they are using is parent to is subtask of. So you will see is parent to is subtask of, but the meaning is the same, okay? So if we have parent to the story with the child to the story, we need to split it if it's really heavy, the parent one. The parent one, of course, will have 0 story points. So we will have 0 story point on the parent one, and then we will split the estimation on the 2 child, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And that relates to link. It's simply to relate activities that are linked together. So now that we have view how to create a ticket, how to fill it, how to describe it, we are ready to plan our tickets, okay? And which methodology we will use? Agile methodology with Scrum framework, and now I will try to explain you a little bit what is Agile. Is really at the end is a philosophy, okay, for software development and project management, focused on flexibility and collaboration in order to respond to changes. Here I put you the link to the Agile Manifesto where you have all the list of target that this philosophy has, okay? What does it mean? If, for example, I plan my project, I listed down all my activities, I plan everything, but the user comes out with a new requirement. Okay, I don't have to stop everything Okay, let's see what we can do, entering panic and so on. Okay, which priority has this requirement? Blocker, high, is really high. Okay, we will try to plan it in the next sprint and we try to insert and collaborate with the user, collaborate between the team and be flexible, okay, in order to respond to changes. This is the main, the most important thing. Popular Agile frameworks include Scrum and Kanban. We will use Scrum that leverages on sprint technique, okay? So what we said, Agile is based on sprint. What are the sprints? Are iterative development time box cycles, okay? And for us, we last 4 weeks, we said, okay? So they are like box. Okay, we'll start today, the 16th of October, and we'll end the 16th of November. And inside this period, I need to deliver my 10 activities that I've decided at the end of the sprint. Okay, at the end of the sprint, I deliver everything, and then a new sprint will start again. So we said at each sprint, a set of action is planned. Then during the sprint, the requirements are analyzed and solutions are designed, code is developed first, and then tested and deployed, and then we arrive to the next review meeting, showing a demo or talking about whatever happened during the sprint. We list down another set of activity to be planned in the next sprint. We insert the activities, the tickets in the new sprint, and we start again on the cycle. We will have monthly reviews during WP5 meetings. Okay, the idea is that every VP leader will come having already an idea of which activities can be inserted and can be closed in the next month. And yeah, so we said in order to reach this, what we use, we will use backlog and dashboards, okay, to visualize better the sprint and the tickets planned in the sprint. So once all the activities have been defined, I've created all my tickets. They are in this box here. Here in Jira, you have this side tab, backlog, you have this box. In the backlog, you have the list of your activities, okay? Once they are completely defined, so I've applied my estimation, the ticket is in queue. So in queue, it means ready to be started. Okay, I can take it from here and drag it directly inside the sprint that will start at the end of the review, okay? I will put it here and then I will fill the sprint. This is the code of the sprint and it's composed by the name of the project. Usually it's used the year and the number of the sprint in that year. So the second is the second sprint of the 2024. So as I said, only the status is in queue. I can take it from here and put it in the sprint. And I started the sprint and the SME can start his activity. Here I have configured some quick filters. So the backlog will be shared by each work packages, but here you see, if you click WP5, you click here, and in the sprint and in the backlog, you will see only WP5 tickets. If you click here, only WP13. If you click here, only my issues and so on. Okay, these are the basic filters. I configure these and we can configure others. Another way to see the sprint progress is through the dashboard. That is the second side tab here. We have the same filters as on the backlog. The screenshot you don't see it, but then later in Jira I will show you. And we have these columns representing the status, where we can also take the ticket and drag it in another column and the status will change. This is another functionality of the dashboard. And here I configured this dashboard in order to group some status that are similar. Otherwise, we would have many columns. So, for example, before starting is grouping to do, in definition, in analysis, and in queue. So before starting the ticket, then is blocked, progress, final stages is like in acceptance, in testing, this kind of status. And then done. Autoscope is something that has been cancelled, rejected, or descoped. Okay. Then another important thing is how to filter out the activities. We already saw that both in the backlog and also in the sprint and in the dashboard, we can filter out the activities by filters that we can configure without any issues, for example, the working package. But yeah, through issues, if you could select issues and then you search for issues, here you have this little tool where you can, for example, filter out by project type. In this case, it's all, but you can filter out, for example, if you want only to retrieve the user stories, you can filter out by user stories. Status, whatever you want, done. You want to see all the user stories that are done, you filter out. And then here more, you can add other labels. For example, in this case, I've added work package WP5, and here I retrieve all the task, activity, and so on in this project, everything, but under with this label, work package WP5. And what can I do also? I can save the filter. So here I can save it and then make it visible for everyone or only for me or whatever. If I make it visible for everyone, when I click on issues, I will see it in this drop down. And then on top right, I have also this option, export, and I can export all the tickets that I filter out, for example, in Excel file, okay? So I have the progress of all the activities on my team and so on. You can filter also out by sprint or whatever. You can filter out by all the labels that we can apply to the ticket. This is another way to see the progress of our sprint. It's an ideal way to progress during the sprint, because it won't be never like this. I explain you what does it mean. So when I inserted all my tickets in the sprint, I will have a sum of story points that, for example, is 40. I have 40 story points in my sprint. Okay, and at the end of the sprint, so this sprint lasts, I don't know, 2 weeks. At the end of the sprint, I need to reach 0. So every user story must be set to done, okay? And here it seems that everyone, after 1 day, I close one user story, then I close another. It should go like this, but normally it's like this till the end, it's 40 till the end, and the day before it's goes to 0 or neither to 0. Maybe if I wasn't able to close my user story, it remains open and I need to move it to the next sprint. And this is called burn down chart. So this is the last slide, a list of best practices that we can follow using Jira. So when we describe the ticket, we must be clear and detailed, okay? We need to update the task regularly, I mean the status, okay, these kind of things. Also using commenting the tickets. The status must be updated. Then we need, once we create a ticket, we need to assign the ticket to a person, otherwise we remain there unassigned and we lose it. And then, of course, we can use Jira integrated with other tools, for example, Confluence. And here I put a screenshot of one link. This is a ticket, and where you have the links. here is saying that is mentioned in this page in Confluence. Okay, so you can also link the two tools. Okay, yeah, if you have any question now, we'll try to answer, then later we go directly in Jira and I will show you something. Everything was pretty clear.
I'll go first, Nadia.
With the Jira directly.
Yeah, Eleonora's first.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Nadia, for this. I have a general question regarding like the premises of everything you just walk us through. Is it something like a methodology that is standard, something that you've been working with even in other projects, or was something that was specifically tailored, like a methodology that was specifically tailored for ENVRI-Hub NEXT?
This is something general. It's used in every agile project. Of course, we can be more or less agile, okay? But this is the general way to work. I work with this in other projects like this, and yeah.
If I may expand and build a little on Nadia's answer, the point of Agile, Nadia, could you please shut down your mic? The point of Agile is that it is a philosophy, and part of this philosophy is to allow the methodology to be plastic and to adapt to the project. So it is normal that different projects are managed with slightly different adjustments. But the point is, the relevant part of the methodology stay the same, and the relevant parts are things are time boxed. So there are sprints. Sprints begin and end on a certain date. Maybe you don't know what you will manage to do within a sprint, but you know that the sprint has a certain date. And so are tasks, because you put them a due date. So are user stories, because you put story points on them. Everything is time boxed. And this is very important. The other important point is the communication is informal, because tickets, they may have a structure which is built on best practices that are built on the experience of several working groups, especially these are insights that come mostly from the industry. But the point is that it is informal as a communication, because you see the ticket, you read the ticket. If you don't understand, you ask the person who opened it, and once you're done, you just say it's done. You don't have to, fill reports, draft, spend time curating documentation. It's an informal way of doing things that it helps both the people who have to get the job done and the people who are supposed to do the reporting. And to me, these are the two most valuable aspects of this methodology. The final one, which in our case, it's particularly, I would say, good, because we are in an evolving environment, because we know that the EOSC is prone to change. The EU agenda over time changes. And so this methodology allows us to cope with change, because in a waterfall methodology, when you first analyze and then implement, if change happens, it breaks everything, because you have to start over again on the analysis. Here, there are closed loops called sprints. So every month or so, you do a little bit of analysis, a little bit of implementation, and a little bit of testing. And so these iterations allow you to cope with change, even if change is disruptive. And so these are the pillars of the Agile methodology. If you want to know more, there's the Agile Manifesto that has been around since the 90s.